Good morning, field biology students. Starting off this video here with just a reminder from last week. If you have not yet um, explored and read about the mythology in relation to the constellations from these two websites, I'd like you to go do that. You'll fill out an exit ticket today about those sites. So if you didn't get a chance to do it, you still have some time to look at it. I don't expect you to be an expert, but at least get familiar with some of the backstories, names, and relationships in those myths. Also, I'm using a different microphone. My good microphone conked out on me, or I don't know what, so hopefully you can hear me okay. All right, today we are talking about the summer constellations. So as you know, we are, well, you look outside the window, it's tough to know what we're in. Technically, we should be in the spring, even though it looks like winter. But the direction to go from here, logically, would be summer, because that's what will follow. Although you can see a few of the winter constellations still. We will talk about those later this week. So I don't want to overlook those because you still can kind of see the tail end of the winter ones. But we'll look at the summer ones. So the first summer constellation that you look for is Lyra. And Lyra represents in Greek mythology a harp. And I know looking at this picture, it might be a little bit of a stretch to the imagination to see a harp with that. Some of you maybe don't even know what a harp looks like. But Lyra is a harp. And the guidepost star of Lyra is called Vega. Okay, a good way to remember these two together is they're both four-letter words that end with A. And so they go together pretty good. And this is the key constellation of the summer group. So you're looking for a, oh my gosh, this is going to test my geometry knowledge, put me on the spot here. A tilted square, which is is it a rhombus? Anyway, that plus a little tail on the end, and the guidepost star sits at the end of that tail. The second one we have is Cygnus. Cygnus is the swan. This is probably one of the, I think, neatest constellations to look at. Has a little bit of a field biology connection, but it greatly represents with its picture. I think it's easy to see a bird shape here. So we get this long neck of the swan, the two wings coming out. They even have some bend to those wings. And the guidepost star of Cygnus is Deneb, okay, which sits right at the tail of the swan. So remember, guidepost stars are kind of the most obvious stars, brightest, connected to that constellation or in the area of that constellation. Good way to remember the name Cygnus for the swan. My college teacher, Dr. Eileen Starr, she used to say, you know, if you were expecting someone to serve you turkey and instead they served you swan for a meal, you might get Cygnus. Sickness. I thought that was pretty clever. Another challenge would be look up what a baby swan is called. I think you'll see a connection there. So little extra bonus work for you. See if you guys can find the baby name of a swan. Now also a little foreshadowing here. You can see 3 guidepost stars listed, 2 which we've talked about already, and then 1 that we haven't talked about yet. So our third summer constellation is called Aquila. Aquila is an eagle, represented by an eagle, and the guidepost star for Aquila is Altair. Okay. So first let's look at the shape of the eagle. This is a good reminder to us that constellations aren't necessarily exact stars and exact connections between those stars. Um, Technically, a constellation is actually an area of the sky, and that's kind of what our people that have came before us used constellations for, is breaking the sky into parts for navigation or telling of time and things like that. So they don't have to be connected exactly, or you don't have to know the exact connection, I guess. I always learned Aquila as almost like a triangle, and I know we focused mainly on this kind of a squashed triangle where the sides are kind of caved in. I don't think this might be the first time I've ever seen it shown as a kind of a diamond shape, but it gives those, gives you a sense of like those big eagle soaring wings, which I like. So either one is fine. A good little saying to help you remember this is thinking about a swan, which is a bird, and of course an eagle, which is a bird. And the eagle, in relation to the swan, if they were in a fight, would say, "Kill ya! I'll tear you apart." Okay, so you get the name of the constellation: Aquila, Aquilia, and I'll tear you apart. And it's kind of a good way to put those together. Dr. Starr, of course, told us that. She knew all the ways to remember these things, and it works. There are two other stars here. You don't need to know those two. All right, the summer triangle. So the three stars there of those three constellations in the summer make up what we call the summer triangle. And these are three very, very bright, very high magnitude stars in our summer sky. And of course, any 3 points are going to make a triangle, right? But these are very obvious in the night sky in our summertime. And so they call it that because that's the season that you are able to see it during. And I know I don't have a whole lot of time here, but we may investigate this further this week. I'd like to look further into this. Here is a side-by-side comparison of some of the stars that we see. So our sun, which we know is pretty large, but Vega, as you notice, is bigger than our sun, as is Altair, and very humbling to see the size of Deneb in relation to our sun. Deneb is, I think, the biggest star that we're able to see with our eyes. To put it in perspective, Deneb is about 2,500 light years away. And if you know how far away the sun is, the sun's light takes 8 minutes to get to us. So I know that's hard to put in perspective, but we'll look further into this later. All right, number 4, summer constellation, Delphinus. Delphinus is a dolphin, and this is one of probably the, I don't know, cutest constellations in the night sky, maybe. It's easy to find in the summertime, very easy to find. You look for that diamond shape and that little tail off the end. It looks very much like a dolphin leaping out of the water, or skimming across the water backwards on their tail like they do at dolphin shows. So very easy one to find. You can mistake this for another grouping of stars in the sky, which we will talk about during the winter constellations. Number 5 on the list for winter is Scorpius. Scorpius is, as it sounds, a scorpion. And the guidepost star of that one is Antares. So Antares is right there. I know it's not labeled on the screen. My bad for not seeing that before I use these pictures. But there's Antares. Okay. I guess if you think back to when we pinned insects, we pinned them in the thorax, right? And that's about the location of Antares. Ant, arthropod, scorpion, arthropod, pin. There's the location, there's the guidepost star. So do what you will with that information. I think it could help. Here's yet another illustration of how it's not necessarily how they're connected, more so the stars involved. Scorpio, sometimes people imagine it this way, and that could work for like the pincers of a scorpion or the pinchers. I always learned it this way, where you go there and then side to side, kind of a hammerhead appearance, whatever works for you. Number 6, Sagittarius. Sagittarius is an archer, one who shoots an arrow with a bow. And this one, when I started looking for pictures for this, for a few minutes, I was a little confused. And then I recalled that when I found this one or learned about this one in college, I learned it as the teapot because that is, I guess, easier to pick out in the night sky, if I remember right. So we looked at this teapot shape, a little handle, spout, right? I have a little teapot, short and stout. Here's my handle. Here's my spout. And we can see that here too, although here we have all the legs and kind of spidery looking, but anyway, it's an archer. And number 7, the final star of the summer constellations, is Hercules. And Hercules, as funny as it sounds, is represented or translates into English, Hercules. Okay, so if you know anything about the Hercules hero from Greek mythology, if you don't, you can go back, look at the websites and read about him. Remember strength with Hercules. But we see sort of arms and legs all over the place here. It almost looks like he's running and maybe I don't know what he's doing with his arms, but one thing I've always used to remember this is if you trace the constellation, it looks like an H. See that? Kind of a little curvy calligraphy style cursive H, but it's an H nonetheless. And that always has helped me remember the name Hercules. And no guidepost stars for the last 2 that we looked at there. Okay, I am going to sign off here. You've watched the video. Congratulations. I'd like you to go back if you haven't yet done so. Look through those constellations on mythology, and please fill out the exit ticket. And I can get my days right here. On Thursday, we will look at the winter constellations. All right. Have a good day and stay warm, stay healthy.